Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cockins.
He's Captain Foley.
And today we're here to talk about the series finale, of Picard. So, season 3, episode 10. And this one is called The Last Generation.
And it has been a long road getting from there to here. It's been a long road, but the Enterprise D's time has finally come.
Have your spoilers on this, yeah.
All of the spoilers.
I got to show this off because I know it's not showing, but please show. Yeah.
And you'll obviously appreciate my ha!
Ta-da!
I will discuss this in length at a later date, Stuart. I'm very happy about it. And of course, join our very intense live, I'm guessing, tonight and next week's Drunk Retrospective, where we look at all the episodes. That'll be a hell of a ride. So join in, be part of the community, and put that drink up for that final bit of Picard Season 3, and potentially the final bit of the Next Generation cast. So join us and be with us. But Stuart, everyone's wanting to know, what do you think of the final episode of Picard Season 3?
Absolute amazing ride, I gotta say. Twists and turns, and we called a lot of things. Nobody died, which is awesome. Everybody was I thought for a moment that a few of them were going to die. Some of the little nods on the bridge there, it was like, oof, you're going down. But no, it worked out very well. I also love the fact that there's like 15 different endings again. That was perfect. Looking at the 40-minute mark, and it's like done with the story, and I'm like, yes, because it was like an hour and 2 minutes total. So very well done, I think. The 1 year time jump as well. There's a lot of really great stuff in here. Even Shaw's return as a hologram. Yeah, this was a fun ride. It really was heartwarming. It felt really good. It was a great send-off to the TNG crew, one we never actually really got. So thank you, Terry and team, for that. I think everybody did a fantastic job. Is it a perfect episode? I mean, it's close. It is very close, I think, perhaps. But it is one of the best episodes of Trek, I think. It's up there in that echelon for sure. So, I mean, maybe not.
Damn, okay. Good for that.
I think it is. I think it is just for the feels and everything like that. And for the send-off of the crew. It's definitely up there with like the Star Trek 6 kind of send-off, and I'm totally on board with that. So there's a lot to talk about, a lot to break down, but that's just my overall vibe. How about you?
And it's amazing, and just to skip to the end there briefly, it's amazing how it's both a satisfying end to the TNG cast, but also all of them have been placed in positions where each of them could have stories continuing. None of them feel like the stories have ended, and yet the overall story's ended. That's hell of a thing to do, which is how it should be. You don't want to kill Kirk and Generations. You don't want to lose people for the sake of it. Everybody could come back or have books or video games in a stronger position than when they left. All of them. Every single one of them. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to feel justifiable. For me, obviously I woke up this morning and I ate some food and I thought I was ready. And then mother effing Chekhov comes on, and that instantly hit me with, well, damn. Was expecting that, and that instantly changed my brain state into, well, now we're really here, right? Because that hit me like a beautiful thing of bricks. And then to the Enterprise D, actually at warp, the first few seconds,
real warp, yeah,
was delightful. It didn't pause. It went exactly from the end beat. It kept going. Everyone got something. Not everyone got all the things. Like obviously Deanna. Wish you got a bit more. Brent, you got a good moment. There were things you could have a bit more with, but everyone did get something, and it's hard to balance, of course. Story was good in general. The closing was good in general. The only thing I'll say that I thought was less positive was that it was a bit easy. In that, it felt
it was going to be with one episode left.
That's what I mean, because they found the Borg cube. They went inside the Borg cube. They shot the Borg cube. They escaped. Like, you could have made that a multi-part epic. So in one, it had to be pretty straightforward, even with small things in the way. It at the end feels very straightforwardly easy, and also very final. Actually killing the Borg, sort of explained, sort of not. Like it, that was the stuff that we could have had 2 or 3 episodes delving into, and but seeing the body double trying to do Alice Krieg's dialogue. She didn't nail it, but because it's kind of like a destroyed H.R. Geiger creature, didn't matter one bit. I'd rather have Alice Krieg. But a few scenes, it's like because I was rewatching it for screen caps to find the frames, and entirely off, which is fun. It's funny, right?
That Borg villain queen, very much like the old Hammer horror movie villains, like up there with like the Phantom of the Opera and stuff, as far as like weird and creepy. So yeah,
Well, it was
good job.
Geiger plus body horror plus great. Overall, a ride. A ride is definitely the best way. I mean, having the Enterprise D do that much motion, if this could be a theme park ride in the best possible way.
Felt like the Millennium Falcon going through
That too, clearly inspired shit, but not. But not. I was expecting a shaft that was exactly. I was expecting a literal reference. Luckily, we didn't get that. But for all that stuff to do with all the characters, and we called a lot. I had the guess that poker would be the smartest choice to end on, just so that you could again say you ended on poker. That made sense, and I was also right about Q. I mean, John Delancey spoiled it 2 years ago, but he also could have been wrong. But I called it, and I love how they undid season 2 as well.
Yep.
So much of season 2 undone. I love it. It was great. It's a really good scene. It's a really, really good scene.
We'll start as we should at the beginning, as you said. Chekhov as president of the Federation. That is amazing. And his warning was almost word for word the same as one from Star Trek 4. There's a probe or like a signal destroying Earth. It's affected our young. I mean, there are a lot of same beats there. It's like a pre-written speech for the president should this kind of situation occur. I thought that was very well done. And yeah, like you said, just it grabbed you right away with that, and then that warp effect. It's like I didn't think we were gonna see that. You said it might be a possibility.
I had faith in them. They knew better than not to do it.
Yeah. Well, it looked fantastic. So that can now be explained just by the new engines, I guess. So whatever, it's fine. Yeah.
And of course, not subtle, but Anton Yelchin Chekhov. So good for them to give the ultimate homage that Chekhov's son is the And it means that Walter Koenig, if you're still around where if they make Legacy, boom, you can I kind of would have liked to have seen him very much like Renegades, where we saw him in uniform on a desk in an office. You could have done the exact same thing, but I guess COVID protocols with an older statesman is more difficult. It's great, it's fine. The lovely start. And lighting on the bridge looked nice. One of the trailer shots showed it being very dark, but for the most part the bridge was well lit, looked nice. Lots of angles throughout. Was good. And Geordie in command looked great. He suited that chair beautifully.
And he's a Commodore, so who knows how much command, if he was a captain at one point. That'd be great.
Obviously referencing, of course, his stint in season 1 where he took the chair, and his captain of the Challenger, a Galaxy, so it all links together.
The only thing I was kind of not annoyed by, I just thought it was kind of funny because Data flying from Ops and then Troy beaming from Helm. I've played Bridge Crew. That's not how that works, although they are reconfigurable panels, so that's fine. It was just one little thing that, as Bridge Crew, you can't beam from over in the helms, but whatever.
Game limitations, Joe. Game limitations.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of awesome. But I do love that Data's like, trust. I trust my gut. I can do this. And everybody's like, are you sure that gut's new to you kind of thing? But I think that all played so well. I really thought, like I said earlier, I thought for sure that maybe Riker, Worf, and Picard were going to die, sending all 3 of them. I thought for sure one of them was going to die, just by the way there's some musical cues and some beats, and just they really did a good job of kind of planting that in your head, especially when Picard turns around and says, "It's been an honor serving with all of you." I'm like, oh no, here we go. He's done for. But no, I think they did a fantastic job with that. And then seeing the Enterprise like come to the rescue and like above them, it's like, whoa, very Star Wars of you guys.
Well, let me jump back then, because we went through a few things there. Data parting was really fantastic. I'm sure Brent loved those scenes because it was so Data but not, and that's a hard balance because Brent is not Data. Brent has a very different cadence as to the song. So to be Data yet emotionful was great, and I can see why they all want to do more, because they've all got stuff they can do now that's really exciting. And there's a few of those sorts of it's impossible. But of all the people, Data could do it, right? So there is precedent, there is logic to that, and certainly wowza. Well, yeah, he wasn't a pilot in TNG, so how much parting experience did he ever really have?
As an android, he's pretty precise.
I mean, for sure. But I'm just saying, like, as a pilot of the D, that wasn't his job almost ever, etc. And then Troy coming in was great. Using the old stuff that was needed. I was kind of work out where the connection, where she was going to do anything, because Beverly, I said she serves no purpose. Oh, turns out she's the weapons officer. Cool. I dig it.
She learned a lot of stuff on the Helios, so I love how she even says that. Lots happened in the last few years.
Although it's doubly funny because, of course, there is a button that says phasers, there's a button that says torpedoes, and she's shooting a giant 50-mile thing below her. She can't miss. So I'm just saying, there's no skill involved to target and fire a torpedo and something that close at that big, but it was a lovely scene. Just saying. Anyway, and then of course the death thing. Yeah, that was. I didn't think they were going to get killed. That'd be the opposite of Terry's mindset would be to kill any of them. The absolute, what he would never do, because that'd be ruining the all the goodwill, all the year. No, he wouldn't do that. But it doesn't mean you can't build up to that point and make a reverse twist. Because yeah, when the character thinks they're going to die, that's one thing. But to have two goodbyes in a row, 3 minutes apart, that does plant the seed in your brain of saying, well, maybe. And the fact that Picard does not very much in the final thing with the Queen until he does the thing. Like, he feels very helpless. And then, well, they're going to die in 62 seconds, 45 seconds, 12... Like, you couldn't even necessarily leave the cube. I mean, obviously, time dilation, whatever. It took more than a minute to do everything they did, whatever. But, like, a minute... You do think that, and they really could have killed everybody, because I could have seen Jory saying, I'm kind of surprised they didn't say, well, if we kill the cube, we're going to get blown up with it, because we can't leave in 60 seconds.
That's what I thought they were going with. I thought they were...
Because that's the ultimate sacrifice. Like, we all will die, all of us, together, on the D, saving everyone everywhere. That is a beautiful... Then you could have done that. It would have been horrible, but that would have been the ultimate way of doing it. But then to have Jory come in, use her superpowers, great. And certainly when the D comes in, it reminds me very much of Borg 4D when Voyager comes in, and I mean, it's very, 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 very similar visuals. I bet they were slightly inspired because they were very, very close. I don't know how they shot that because it looked very flat, like an LED wall. Like it was weird. Like it wasn't a very good composite. But I mean, visually, how do you represent? You're in a 3-story building room with a 600-meter ship above you. Like, it's hard to visualize that, so I don't think it looked great, but it looked awesome.
I feel you on that one, yeah.
And there was something about it that was a bit weird. But it's such a thing to do.
Yeah, just the fact the Enterprise is there. Like, is it in an atmosphere because they're breathing? It's a small thing, but it's just kind of a...
But this is obviously
weird...
the biggest cube we've ever seen, so that, if the normal cube has Starship space, this has Space Station space.
That pan out from the Enterprise to see this cube is like... It kept going. It's like, wow. That was amazing.
They've lost all sense of space once the cube is the... I mean, you thought a tactical fusion cube was giant. I'd love to see a graphic of how big this thing is. I mean, the size of the moon? How big is it? That's no moon. That's a Borg hypersphere. Hypercube. Although I was kind of surprised, of all the things, we used Magell Barrett, we did a classic warp. Why did they beam using the modern beaming effect, not the TNG beaming effect? Why would Geordi, of all the things, not refit the transporters being his priority list? Because they weren't the right... Like, I was waiting for a lovely classic...
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe they're out of
That's
time.
a good question, actually. I didn't even notice that, but you're right.
Because everything else was spot on, but they got that... Like I said, easier to answer. Geordi refitted them, because safety...
It could be safety protocols, like fleet-wide, you needed to replace the transporters or something. I don't know.
But if you're doing a classic reunion tour, do everything, and that was a weird omission of like, you didn't do it, guys. That was weird.
They didn't upload the new software protocols that changes the visual effect. Speaking of Majel Barrett and her voice, I love that there's a little nod there from Riker. I missed that voice. Thought that was very nice. Very subtle, but...
It's not overly organic as a moment. He just sort of says it, and then the scene pans away. I wish they'd said something else, like a back and forth about that, rather than just...
I didn't need to. I think it was perfect the way it was. It was just that... and the Enterprise D being at the museum, now in that berth, we called that as well. That was awesome. What else is there? There's a lot to talk about, my goodness. We'll talk about the elephant in the room, the Enterprise G. As they were approaching that moment, I was like, all right, we're going to see new Enterprise. Cool. I was hoping for a new design. I was hoping for like Bill Cross's Essex class, which is his Endurance, USS Endurance. That would be an awesome design, I think, personally, as the Enterprise. I know you disagree, but I don't care. I think it would have been beautiful. I think a lot of people agree with me. But then to have the Titan rename that to Enterprise, which a few people have kind of speculated might happen, I was a little bit disappointed, honestly. It was just a moment that I wish there was just a new ship. I like the Titan just fine. I think Shinglock design is nice. I just don't like that it's now the next Enterprise. I mean, kudos to Bill for his design becoming the next Enterprise. That is amazing. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I would have put money on them at the start of the season. It would not have been whatever class this is. And I believe Terry did explicitly say, well, we didn't use we couldn't have used Enterprise because we had to use this ship because it had to look weak against the Shrike. And all I could think was Terry saying, no, this is a light explorer. It's not the right class for a flagship. He said that multiple times at the start of the season when people questioned. Like Seven being captain, she's been in Starfleet for a year.
Well, make captain and also then be captain of the flagship.
Of a flagship, yeah. Like, it's fine if season 1 and 2 were her building to this, but they weren't in any way, shape, or form. So, yeah, because I was kind of expecting them, honestly, to do like to turn the lights on and make it a really bright set as like a way of saying, oh, no, the Enterprise has to be a bright, you know what I mean? Or even not necessarily had carpet, but I was expecting them to look really nice. Like, the best the bridge ever looked was the F or the G, and it didn't. I was like, oh, okay. And then they reused the warp out effect because they ran out of money from episode 2.
Yeah, we didn't get her. He didn't get her whatever she says. So,
which that was funny. That was a good way of ending the scene.
I thought they're not. Oh, they did.
No, I thought that was funny. And I mean, Jack sitting in the captain's chair. You can't get more ballsy than everything he did. But he looks great in uniform. All the kids are there. Boy, hey, good for LaForge. She went from being this mid-tier light cruiser to now the part of the flagship after shooting all of her commanding officers while being a Borg. I mean,
you get a pass for that.
Oh, sure. It's just funny, like, 1 year later. Yeah, why didn't they refit the ship if it's been a year? Because we're out of money. Oh, okay, fine. But yeah, good for those people. They all get to be the crew of the flagship now. But what do you think of Seven as captain, in general, and as the F captain?
I was kind of... didn't really want her to be captain, like, leading up to this. With the way it played out, and Shireen Shaw's, like, little thing about this all... which he made before any of this started... I don't have a problem with her becoming captain, but then, yeah, to be like captain of the flagship and only being in Starfleet for so long. However, she did serve her time on Voyager, I will say that. But it doesn't disappoint me. I'm like kind of all right with it. The fact that, Raffi is her number one kind of was like, okay, they're going to go there. That's cool. Which a spy, a pirate, and I forget the other thing she said, was quite an interesting take on things. But I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. I'm just kind of
well, it felt very insular. These are the characters we know, but she obviously wasn't going to be Enterprise captain as of yesterday. So there was somebody in line to be the new Enterprise captain when the Enterprise F was decommissioned, right? So there was an Enterprise F captain lined up who had probably more experience, etc. And they got shoved off for Seven. Now, I love Seven as a character in theory, but season 1, season 2 hurt her drastically as a character. She was a lot better in season 3, and I would totally love to see her as a captain character as long as she's like she was in Voyager /3, season 3. And also Earth Space Dock, Stuart. We saw it get blowed up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fine. And I was actually angry for like 12 seconds of like, you... Because I said...
I was too.
I'll riot. And then
I know. Back. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, Sam.
And it's back. And not even lip service to, it took us 16 months to repair the space. No, fine. It's like, I know it wasn't destroyed, but that many petrol explosions with that many weapon hits, like...
No, it was destroyed. As soon as I saw those hits happening, like, repeatedly, I'm like, how's it lasting this long? Like, they weren't even shield impacts. I wish there were shield impacts for half that time.
Yeah, that's the problem you have petrol impacts being any impacts. It takes all the power away from a real impact because it's the same thing. It's a bad visual choice from them.
I do love that as it was like starting to spin, and you saw like Earth's defense grid, like there was an actual shield around Earth, and then the line right after that was now the Earth defense shield is gone, which then they start targeting all the cities. Mm-hmm. So,
Boyd, nick of time, eh? I know it presumably took place in under like 20 minutes. The whole scene. I mean. The way Titan does its move, it just cloak, decloak, fire, cloak, decloak, fire, and we're gone. Right? It's a very, very quick scene, I'm guessing. It might even be real time, give or take. But I'm still shocked that not a single other ship was even lip service to succeeding. Are you telling me that Seven was the only person who was able to retake a bridge in the entire... It's like, a couple of lines saying, this ship and this ship and this ship are all deactivating. The cruiser managed to, because Seven was blowing ships up. She was actively killing crew all the time. Because you saw wreckage with ships. Those weren't done from anything else apart from her firing.
Even if other crews had taken over their bridges, they couldn't disconnect from the fleet.
No, but they could turn the warp core off. I mean, they could disconnect the torpedoes. I mean, you saw how the Titan, they just shot the cloak and the cloak disabled.
Well, maybe there was one or two that did that. We just, with all the firing going on, we couldn't have
But
seen.
I would love to have heard anything about any other
okay.
crew making. Otherwise, she should get Captain Enterprise because she's better than everyone else. All she did was walk on the bridge with guns, right? There wasn't. And also, transporting officers is great, but don't transport them just so they can attack you later. Stun them all.
Yeah, and you got to think too. There might be changelings on space dock that might be preventing firing as well, because who knows if there was any infiltrated there. So,
which was obviously not even mentioned except in lip service until the end. I'm glad, at least they addressed everything at the end. But
and no changelings on Earth apparently. That's also implied with the situation.
Yeah, they definitely nullified the whole changeling threat, because that would have been an obvious thing to have them turn off the force field, or them do this, or them do that. Oh god, can you imagine if you actually cut to President Chekhov on Earth? Like, we're about to get targeted! Scottish. But, like, you know, that could be more powerful. Have a perspective character on Earth. You know, space dogs at 43%. This, and this.
And then his assistant turns around with a phaser.
Yeah, because Tuvok could have been the person who was the assistant, and and that would have been amazing of Gods and Men and Renegades reference. Tuvok pointed phaser at Chekhov. That would have been.
I kind of thought that with the both of them there, we might see something. But speaking of, I mean, I love that Tuvok is fine. We kind of knew that was probably going to happen, and also that the changeling threat being nullified in the same stroke as solving the transporter changes. Again, brilliantly, I think, done. She is now an admiral, back in Starfleet, apparently, after 20 years of not being in Starfleet, and head of Starfleet Medical. Nice touch.
It's pretty much the end of Nemesis, but then they cut that ending of Nemesis.
yeah, exactly.
Which is good. I mean, I know they had to get her out of it, but, like, good. Clearly, she's still top of her game. Clearly, she knows what she's doing. To be there is great. Worf, don't say anything about what he's doing, so he's still unknown. Riker, holiday.
Well, the Data is going for counseling sessions. Go over his time by an hour, and she's just getting annoyed, and she's like playing on her phone essentially, looking at.
But it's also nice that implies that the team are going to hang out more. That's what I got from that as well. You know, they've now realised they're important to each other, and they're going to make the time. And certainly, I loved seeing the relative chemistry of Patrick and Gates in the last sort of scene with them. It wasn't romantic per se, but it was bonded. It was so core togetherness that was nice that you could easily say they are together, they're not together, doesn't matter, does it not? Like, there was a teamwork vibe with them, three of them, which was really nice to see.
Yeah. That was the one thing that I wish they would have included in that shuttle scene going to the Enterprise was Laris. I wish she was standing behind Picard with her hand on his shoulder or something, like they're clearly still together and him and Beverly are good friends and whatever. Laris, not even, what happened to Laris? Poor Laris. I said they were probably not going to see her again, but when it ended at the 40-minute mark, the main plot, I was like, oh, they're gonna include Laris. There's gonna be a scene. I kept waiting, and no. All they had to do was add her to the shuttle. She didn't have to say anything. Just had to be standing behind Picard with her hand on his shoulder, like give him a smile when it was the Enterprise, you know. But nothing.
Yeah, but let's be honest, she's so unimportant to the new Enterprise. Picard's son, Picard's maybe girlfriend.
I know, but
that's such
just a small moment.
But it would certainly, it's like having Seven on the Bridge of the D. It would actually diminish the Enterprise D moment to have a this is the point of the scene. But to not even mention her was odd. And clearly, no, he's not with her. Again, you can play it with Beverly, either yes or no, but at least they're seeing each other often. You get that vibe. They're you know. But what a nice team. And Jack certainly came together and was fun.
As they were panning up on Jack, too, being Borgified, I'm like, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? And they did it. The exact same face appliance as Locutus. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm. That was bold. Because that's money. That's just money throwing that's a long old thing to do.
It looked good on him, though. His hair was perfect, too. That's great.
Well, I mean, look, Patrick being mostly bald and being relatively small. He's not huge, right? But this guy, big broad shoulders, big body, like he looked intimidating.
It looked good, yeah.
Yeah. Although kind of looked like a biker outfit. The way the kind of leather was, like it's close to Voyager, but more TNG, which that is what they had. So it was a good hybrid of things. And speaking of, we've got 2 actual Borg. Cool. Shooting, pew pew, kill Borg. They were good.
Oh, and worst weapon, having the phaser in the hilt. That was great.
That's good. Yeah, that's funny.
You had a phaser the whole time? I like swords. Swords are fun.
That's good, yeah. I mean, why not? Yeah. Are they getting shot and then being fine? I mean...
No, he fell asleep on the bridge. Come on now.
Oh, yeah.
He was healing.
God, if you take away the edit of him snoring, he died on the bridge.
Yeah. Oh, that's very novel. One line of dialogue in there. Take away that little snoring thing.
Woof! Yeah.
Oh my God, Worf.
But great Borg cube. I knew it'd be featured. Good stuff. Yeah, and the Queen was gross, right? Horrible. Ugh.
I guess that was the implication that she was the face that Vadic was talking to, but... And the first time we saw her, I really thought it was like half Patrick Stewart's face, because the one side of it, the face looked a little bit like Patrick Stewart, and I was like, what the hell was going on? But then the more we saw it, it was just maybe my mind playing tricks on me. I don't know, but
I thought it was good. I mean, I wasn't sure if it was an animatronic or a person for the good first half, because it's all kind of like it wasn't really her dialogue. It was voiceover with person, so you're never going to get that connection. So it felt disconnect. So it could have been just because it's very ghoulish, right? And if it was an animatronic, kind of like Jim Henson would have done, you could push it even further. You know, you could actually have like the skull be see-through or something. But it was, they're credited actresses in the part. Wasn't quite sure what the storyline with the Borg was, and we'll discuss this in a later video. Like, it sort of makes sense, but at the same time, Prodigy has Borg that are fine. But I mean, I'm happy to assume that one queen went a bit crazy. There are other queens, other places. That's just one did it. It's fine. We never got a sense of any more of the collective after her. Although I appreciate, and this sounds like a small note, I appreciate when the Borg mega cube was blowing up, there was no giant Death Star explosion thing. It was thousands of smaller explosions, because it's so big, why would one thing detonate? I like the fact that it all just kind of kept blowing up in small ways. It was too big to blow up in one. Small,
but funny because it was in the atmosphere of Jupiter. It would have been funny if it started like igniting the gas of Jupiter. And all of a sudden, like 2010 movie, where it became like a sun.
So are you saying in season 1 we're going to make Mars burn, and season 3 we're going to make Jupiter burn?
Yeah, exactly.
Season 4 Pluto. But the Queen was good. I liked her as Krieg was good. I wish there was a bit more depth to that. Again, more episodes. If we'd seen her episode 6, whatever. It was just a case of I've got now I just want to kill everyone. Okay. But that's why you need real Borg still. Because she's now crazy Borg, which is good. It's fine.
Yeah. Now, as thinking of this as like a TNG movie.
Yes.
I think this definitely is up there with First Contact as far as action and stuff goes. And as I said earlier, a good send off like Star Trek 6. Would you rate it differently if it was a movie as opposed to the end of a season?
It's a great question. I would need to watch the 2 back to back. That'll be what you do. Maybe I'll play it that way next time. Have a break between episode 8, watch 9 and 10 together next week. The thing about a movie though is that it has more money and more scope and better pacing. This felt much cheaper than a movie because it had sort of 3 sets and the CG was kind of comedic. Like First Contact CG I would say was nicer looking. Not necessarily better, but like the shots of the E look nicer than the shots of the D. Just the way they were done look more movie cinematic. That's just ILM masters of whatever. I think it probably works better as a movie, but then also because there's lots of standing still in this episode. Patrick stays still in that chamber for 27 minutes.
I prefer that though. Picard was never an action star. When they actioned him up in Insurrection and stuff, it was just like what the.
Sure, but it's like summarizing if a movie is mostly just people stand in 6 rooms back to back without doing much. Like that's not a movie. In a way, it's more like All Good Things. It's more like an All Good Things, I'd say, than a movie.
They kind of made a reference to All Good Things with Riker saying, with kind of everything's in its place now. Like, what if there was a what if question? He's like, we wouldn't have been happier necessarily, but this is the good place to be. That was kind of implied with that last little dialogue of the 3 of them on the bridge. which I thought was interesting because I immediately thought of All Good Things. But yeah, we know that Beverly gets ranked up to Admiral. I don't think they mention or show that Riker did.
Well, no, it says captain's log, so.
Yeah. But also, then in the bar, Data is still calling Picard captain.
I think
So-
that's habit.
Yeah.
Because they say Admiral Picard in the shuttle, so he's back to Admiral, but... And let's talk about the end of TNG. You know, they're in Guinan's bar. No Whoopi. I thought that was shocking that we didn't get a Whoopi cameo. Not that she needs to be there, but like you filmed with her, you could have planned a cameo and just shot a reverse shot to her saying something. I don't know why. Definitely better than the bar scene from last season. Not that it was terrible, but you know, this was better. It was gentle, right? It was just let's have fun. It was, in fact, that Beverly was drunk. You know, it was silly. It was light, and then of course poker, which really, really gave it the gravitas. There was no particular callback to that scene, as in the point of the scene of All Good Things was that Picard has had this distance with everyone, and now he's finally there, and he says he starts this connection. There was no specific moment of there was no payoff to that scene, but that's good. It let it be its own scene. It was just one big family together. There was no one moment, right?
I do love that they address again with in Picard's dialogue, season 1, of I'm pathetic and wanted to die on my vineyard, because there was that dialogue in there, which I appreciated actually. You know, addressing that.
Yeah, and of course, if Beverly had told him about his son years ago, she might have saved him 10, 15 years of sadness. There is the trope of power of love, but it's the power of the hug that breaks this new Borgified Jack. But I guess he wasn't nanoprobed because nanoprobes would have more effect. So I get the sense he was just sort of, they put stuff on his body. They just...
Well, the Borg Queen even said that it's not the same kind of assimilation. This is evolution.
Yeah, it's just actually weaker because assimilation would, the nanoprobes have a biological factor. He just took off his face, right? Like,
yeah. And when they unplugged Picard, you saw the veins start to like withdraw.
So it's just less advanced. I guess nanoprobe tech was destroyed, but it was sweet, seeing them. You are the thing I was missing, which is funny. Obviously, the triple super mega payoff to TNG season 1 of not wanting kids, not liking kids, but realizing that But the thing is, he did skip having kids. He now has an adult friend. So, best of both worlds.
Ha! As the saying goes, my friends, all good things
Must lead to
come
Q.
to an end. That must come to an end.
Yeah, what do you think of Q's not robe and yet robe?
You totally ruined my segue into like.
I know,
comment
because
down
there's
below.
another post-credit. They did it, so I'm doing it to you.
Oh, you're post-crediting me.
Yes!
As I was going into the credits. All right, good job. All right, yeah, Q. I love that, actually. I wouldn't consider that a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene because the credits were
Didn't
just
roll.
different credits.
Yeah.
So you're going to keep watching. So,
The credits,
No,
like the
was-
trial, never ended.
yeah. I love how he's like, oh, my father told me all about you. And he's like, yeah, well, now it's about you. Which, I think Q looked really good. I was thinking it would have been cool if he was de-aged almost, back to the original Q look. But then if they want to bring him back at any point, they need to de-age him again or have a reason for him to look older.
Yeah, it's
But-
smarter that you set up how you expect to know him as old Q. But it certainly retcons he didn't really die in season 2. I don't think. I know they also say I'm non-linear, which we said, like, you don't always die. This could be him 50,000 years ago from his perspective. But no, it was really sweet, actually. Because I kind
I
of
wish you would have said something like, I just came back from the first meeting with your dad. Now I'm talking to
yeah.
you. So it's like playing with time, I think would have been very good. But
I kind of like it undoes season 2 in that he was there to make Picard grow, to allow him to accept his son, who he needs to deal with in the future. Because he needs his son to be who he is. So he had to trick Picard, as he often did. Like, it works, right? It actually works really well. And it still lets you have. I don't think, like, he died for Patrick Stewart's Picard. You get the sense that even if these people came back together, you would need to keep Patrick and Q separate because their story, he died. That, I think, would be the caveat to technically that is his death to him. Here he is with Jack. Next generation makes sense to me.
But I think Jack might be like, trip's going really good. Ran into Q. Dad, I need some advice. No, just kidding.
But I actually, I don't even get the sense it was because he's a Picard. It was just he's the next something, right? Like it's not.
He's the last generation.
But I like that. It's not because Jack is evolved because of Picard. It's not because he's Borg. It's who he is. It's a combination of everything. It's he made his own man. I mean, certainly, yeah. I want to see more of that.
Well, all good things come to an end, guys, and it's the end of our review. So, by all means, comment down below. Oh! There's an actual.
I'm gonna move my chess piece, and we'll say endgame on this.
Oh, see, no, what are you doing? It's fine.
These are the voyages of the Starship Trekyards. Oh, I left behind my uniform.
Comment down below what you thought.
It's been the undiscovered video. Let me turn about. Ah, intruder!
That was a good one. That was a deep cut right there.
We don't know discoveries yet, because it hasn't happened, so.
Yeah. Anyway, comment down below what you thought about this episode or our review.
Yes.
Let us know your thoughts, comments, questions. If you do want to get more in-depth with us, as well as be part of the conversation in real time, by all means, join us later today for our live review, which will be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and might go for 4 or 5, 6, I don't know how many hours.
It's up to you.
At least 3.
We're at the mercy of you fine folk.
Yeah. So by all means, show up, help us out. Help us out right now, though, by dropping a super thanks, hitting that like button, subscribing, and making sure you're notified so you don't miss our lives and other content that we do, because we do lots of content here. We love Star Trek, and we love you guys, so please join us in any way you can and help.
Anything. I mean, anything, right? Look at the links down below. There are shirts. There's Patreon. There's Join the Channel. There's a monthly. Do super chat. Do super thanks. Just say hello. Say thanks. It'll help the algorithm. And just thanks for being here, guys, for this, many, many weeks, many, many years of these reviews. Keep joining in for Stranger Worlds coming up next. And then I'm sure Lower Decks Prodigy after that. Stay around, guys. We've got a lot of fun stuff here. And be part of the fleet. Because, of course, that fleet will continue on. And I guess I have to rename my Titan to the Enterprise G. So if you want to be on the Enterprise G, it's true. Join the fleet. That's what I'm in. Because we're multi-timeline, so it's fine. That's why we have the D and the E. It's fine. Support us if you can. Be part of the community.
Stick around for the fleet video. Which is the actual post-credit scene. The Enterprise G on its adventures. There you go. See? Perfect.
He's Captain Foley.
Oh, I am. I'm Captain Foley. He is Commander Cockings.
Bye, guys.
And this is the Trekyards fleet. All of you guys.